My daughter Stephanie had her birthday on Saturday. She's been asking for a Switch for a while, and I think she's gotten old enough and mature enough that I can trust her with a big present like that. So the plan was always to give Steffi the Switch at her birthday party, which was the same day. However, that ended up falling through. We ended up not being able to pick up the Switch until Sunday morning. See, Steffi was invited to her classmate Jolene's party on Sunday. So I figured that I would just give Steffi the Switch after cake at Jolene's party, since we were still in the party spirit. Nothing more than that, just the unwrapping, and then the spotlight would be right back on Jolene. Besides, the girls are friends, so I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. They're 9. They're old enough to understand that this was an extenuating circumstance. Or so I thought. Everything went as I had planned, and I thought it went well. But after the party was over, I got a call from Jolene's mom, essentially asking me what the heck I was thinking, and that I was undermining her because she couldn't afford something like a Switch for Jolene. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not even raised Steffi to even really care about things like how much presents cost. Also, Jolene didn't even care because she had numerous new things to play with. Now, Steffi shared her Switch with her, so it seems to me like everyone made out well. Jolene's mom called me petty and a show-off. She and I do not like each other, and I won't sugarcoat it, but I put that aside for the kids because our issues aren't their fault. Jolene's mom is definitely not doing. Husband says he gets where I was coming from, but maybe should have waited until after Jolene's presents were opened so she could have hers first. That's fair, but I'm not sure if that quite makes me an idiot to Jolene. Am I the idiot? What in the absolute heck made you think that giving your daughter a present at her friend's party is acceptable? You wear white dresses to weddings, don't you? You are the idiot, OP. Why would you do this at another girl's birthday party? Why couldn't you do this at home with just your daughter? I can't imagine bringing a gift to someone else's party and making it about you and your daughter. Good Lord. I'm almost 40 years old, and I would have a problem if some entitled tool came to my birthday party thinking it was okay to have someone else opening presents, especially a high-ticket item like a Switch. Anne couldn't even be bothered to ask her mom if she was okay with it first. Of course not. You freely admit you planned it that way. Holy moly, you are the worst kind of idiot. You did this at a literal child's birthday party. Agreed. This is just common sense. This is no different than proposing at someone else's wedding. Actually, it is. This is like getting married the day before someone else and wanting to redo your vows at their wedding because something didn't go right on your own. I see why Jolene's mom doesn't like OP. She sounds like a selfish show-off. There was no reason that she couldn't give her child the Switch at home, and doing so at someone else's party should have never crossed her mind. You are the idiot. By even saying, then the spotlight will be right back on Jolene, means you knew the spotlight would be on your child at a party that wasn't hers. Then you're gaslighting that the parents must be teaching their kids to care about the value of presents. You say you don't. Meanwhile, you're teaching your kid other people's parties can be about them, and a big gift must be given in front of others. The only reason to give your kid a gift at another party is so everyone can see what kind of gift it is. It could have been done at home. Wanting a public display of your kid getting a Switch isn't an extenuating circumstance. It's just showing off. I have been a part of a professional organization for 30 years in the area where I live, ever since I was 26. Every year, there is an event where several awards were given out. This year, the event was held over Zoom, and I was told that I was nominated for the Lifetime Achievement Award. So my daughter, 27, decided to get tickets. My ex-wife, 56, also bought tickets because my son, teen, wanted to be there. I was happy they decided to be there. I'm obviously on speaking terms with my ex-wife because of our minor son, and the more, the merrier. My wife of a year, 30, and our baby son, of course, were always going to be my guest, so they listened in. I honestly didn't expect to win, but when the time came, they announced my name. I was ecstatic because this was the highest honor to be given. My wife and my son were hugging me, and she kissed me on the cheek. So I started my speech with that I was sitting here tonight with my beautiful wife and my wonderful son. I said that I'd like to thank them for their support and owe everything I have and continue to do to them. After saying that, I didn't know how to add in anybody else, So I thanked the professional association and ended the speech. Yesterday, I was in therapy with my kids and my ex-wife. My daughter and my ex-wife were both sullen the whole session and finally started railing against me for ignoring the three of them during my speech. They said that my ex-wife could have been just as successful as me in my profession, given how many ideas she's given me in helping me start my business, and that they were the ones dealing with my late nights and absences and being poor for many years. I explained to all three of them that I didn't know I would win and that I would obviously acknowledge the people who were currently beside me, and I was tongue-tied. My daughter didn't seem to accept that explanation and continued crying. I finally told her at that point she's just petty because of old grudges, and my son stood up and said, "Excuse us for being with you at the starting line." My ex-wife also started crying, and the therapy session ended there. Am I the idiot for thinking that 3 weeks is enough time to get over sour grapes over a simple speech? Yeah, his wife of 1 year somehow helped with his career of 30 years. Her and no one else? Yikes! OP, in light of what your daughter said about her mother helping your career with her ideas, you were needlessly thoughtless and cruel. Your original family went out of their way to continue to support you by buying tickets and attending this event, and you couldn't even thank them? Then instead of apologizing for your mistake, you dig in your heels and accuse them of holding on to old grudges and being petty? These are the words and actions of a narcissist. You are the idiot. I'm glad you're in therapy and hope it does some good, but honestly, you'll be lucky if any of them ever speak to you again. Pretty much what OP did was thank his replacement/do-over family, but forgot about his daughter and son. Oh, and you are the idiot, OP. I agree with your daughter. It seems that you leached ideas from your ex-wife, built up success with those ideas, then left her for a much younger woman who gave you a do-over family. Also, why did you choose to marry a woman that is 3 years older than your daughter? I'm not going to mention the fact that your new wife is 3 years older than your daughter. Oops, and like 26 years younger than you? Oops again. But honestly, it seems like someone, hint, you, just wanted to show off his much younger bride. So instead of thanking the people that had been by your side for almost the entire time you had been doing this job, you chose to thank the person that honestly had done the least for you. You are the idiot of the day. My younger sister is getting married, and she asked me to be her maid of honor. So of course I accepted, and am thrilled to fill this role for her. Initially, her wedding was scheduled for 2020. However, due to global issue concerns, she and her fiancé postponed their wedding date to the late fall of 2021. It's important to note that our wedding is being held slightly over 700 miles from where I currently live. Anyway, earlier this year, I found out that I was pregnant with my first child. Although my husband and I were not actively trying, the pregnancy happened organically. When I did the math, my tentative due date fell around the date of her wedding this fall. However, after meeting with my midwife, the confirmed date is 3 weeks after her wedding weekend. So that means that I'll be 37 weeks pregnant, which is considered full term if the baby were to be delivered. So I called my sister up to tell her the big news. I knew she'd probably be both happy for me, because babies are generally a happy thing, but also sad, because the likelihood of my attendance at her wedding was in serious doubt. At 37 weeks pregnant, airlines do not allow you to fly due to danger to the mother and baby. Additionally, driving for 700 plus miles being that pregnant is strongly advised against by most medical professionals. I decided it was essential to be transparent with her because both babies and weddings are a big deal. So I did my best to be empathetic to her and clarify that this was a tough decision for my husband and me to make, and that I would still do everything I possibly could to fill my responsibilities as her maid of honor. Her response, "My pregnancy is both an inconvenience and disappointment because it messes up her wedding plans." She proceeded to state that I know how babies are made, that I had 1 month out of the year not to get pregnant, but did so anyway so that I could get out of attending her wedding. Then she hung up on me and didn't speak to me for 3 months, despite my efforts to reach out to her. Since then, we've been talking again. I've made the pilgrimage that's 700 plus miles to be the babysitter and designated driver at her bachelorette party, go dress shopping, wrote a speech, and coordinated another member of her bridal party to read it aloud on the day of her wedding. Plus coordinated flights for my 2 stepchildren to attend her wedding, even though my husband and I won't be in attendance. Not to mention gifts plus other miscellaneous things that go with wedding planning. Her wedding has come and gone, and I'm about to burst forth a baby any day now. However, she's still upset with me for all of this because she thinks I got pregnant on purpose to miss her wedding. She claims that there are hospitals in the city where she got married, and I could have easily been tended to by a physician there. Am I the idiot for deciding against standing up in/attending her wedding at 37 weeks pregnant? Not the idiot. I had a good chuckle at her thinking everyone on her guest list must remain celibate for their particular month, 9 months before her wedding. OP, the health of you and your baby is your priority. Rest. Enjoy the last few days of your pregnancy, and then your new baby. She had her 1 day. It's over. That's all she gets. Of course, she can continue pouting all she wants, but that's a personal problem since you physically can't be there. Honestly, to even think that someone found out your wedding day, then sat down, mapped out when they were ovulating, decided to create a whole human being, changed their whole life, and committed themselves to be a first-time parent just to not attend your wedding is some real delusional and self-important thinking. Next time, aim higher, OP. Couldn't have pushed up the due date a smidge to give birth on her next wedding day? Not the idiot. These bridezillas are honestly so lame at this point. A wedding is a celebration of a union and a party. The marriage is the important part. A couple could legit elope and go to the courthouse, and the marriage would still hold the same weight. By all means, have a good time, enjoy yourself, and live it up. But a wedding is not an excuse to abuse friends, family members, and loved ones. These brides who act like the world stops for their special day are pathetic. You have to be pretty delusional and self-centered to think someone has a child solely because of your wedding, and to hold a grudge is just sad. My grandmother has been living with us, my dad, my older brother and sister, myself, and my little sister. My older sister's husband, brother-in-law, moved in 7 months ago. My older brother and I take care of my grandmother. Fortunately, she's healthy enough for a 60-year-old woman and can take care of herself, but she couldn't take care of her house anymore. That's why she moved in. So between my older brother and I, he works from home. I take online classes. We take care of her and ensure she's content throughout the day. Lately, my brother-in-law has been talking about his grandmother needing a place to stay. He commented how we take care of my grandma well, and she has better meals to eat, whereas he doesn't have the same treatment where she lives. My sister then offered to have her live here and share a room with my grandmother. She, without our permission, said my brother and I would take care of her. I told them both no, I would not take care of her, and my brother said the same, and my dad backed us up. I told him as bad as I felt for her, I couldn't take care of her because, as he said, she needed medications given to her at specific times throughout the day, she has a very strict diet, and she needed someone to bathe and change her. A few days later, he brought her over with a duffel bag, some blankets, and said she was kicked out of the place she was staying at and would only need to stay here a few days. I told him he'd need to get those days off of work because I would not be taking care of her. He walked away annoyed, and I assume he went to tell my sister because she came back to me and said I could watch her a few days as a trial run and see if I could adjust to caring for her. I said both to my brother-in-law and sister, if he left her with me, I'd call Adult Protective Services because I wouldn't take care of her. My sister called me an idiot and said she had no other family to go with, and he didn't want to put her anywhere else. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She is not your liability, and you don't have a familial affiliation with her. You take care of your grandmother because you are courteous, but it doesn't mean you are compelled to sustain financially and take care of every other elder. She seems to warrant hard work, and a nursing home might be better for her and suit her needs. This is plain audacity to invite her to move to your house when brother-in-law doesn't even live there. You are right to refuse this ludicrous requirement. I didn't know people could be so entitled and unaware of social cues. I'm stunned and speechless at this point. You should firmly elucidate that you won't take his grandma in and won't budge. OMG, the entitlement in these two. I would also not blame the father if he kicked them out. But this sounds like they had this little performance planned out, which is just vile. They didn't even ask if they could move the grandmother in and would take care of her, which would have been a big ask by itself. But they told OP and her brother that they would be providing nursing care for a stranger? Also, how is this providing moderate assistance to a reasonably independent loved one, the same as being forced to provide extensive care to a person that OP has no connection to? It is also rich that they openly didn't want to do anything for the grandmother and tried to move her in sneakily. OP, you are not the idiot. They can move out to a 2-bed place, one for them, one for Gran. Stand your ground. Also, if your own Gran is 60 and healthy, you probably aren't taking care of her. She lives there and you keep her company, so you're not experienced in adult care. Brother-in-law sounds like a mooch and is trying to push his way. Call his bluff and call Adult Protective Services if they disrespect your boundaries. I, 25 female, have 2 children, my little son and baby daughter. Raising 2 children at a young age has been really difficult. However, I graduated from college with a good degree and started a career that I'm happy with. Despite this, the struggle of trying to juggle the responsibility of looking after my kids and focusing on my career is stressful, to say the very least. My fiance, 26, also works full-time, which only compounds the issue. Up until now, my parents have been watching my children on Saturday nights, so my fiance and I can have time to ourselves. My parents are retired. I was recently offered a promotion at work. While I enjoy my new position, it involves me working more hours, making my home life more difficult. I told my parents that I'd really appreciate it if they could watch my kids on Tuesday and Thursday nights to alleviate my stress levels. However, they refused, saying that they were doing more than enough by looking after my kids on a Saturday night. We argued about this, and my parents threatened to stop watching my kids on Saturday night. This annoyed me, and I responded by saying that if they put me in a compromising position, they would not be invited to my wedding. We haven't spoken since, and I've had to look after my kids on Saturday night, which has been stressful for both my fiance and me. I feel as though since they're retired, there's nothing wrong with asking them to pull their weight more and help me out with my kids. Am I missing something? Am I the idiot? Is this a joke? You are the idiot, without a doubt. I love I've had to look after both kids on Saturday night. Mate, it's called parenting, you melon. These are your kids, not your parents. They are doing you one heck of a favor by watching them every Saturday night so that you can have some time off. You are unbelievably ungrateful. More to this, she said, pulled their weight. What weight? Their weight was you, OP, and they've done their job. You chose to have 2 children at a young age. You decided to work a stressful career. Your parents have completed raising their child. It's crazy when people expect their parents to continue raising children when they've already finished their job. You are the idiot. I wouldn't come to your wedding or babysit your kids anymore. Grandparents are not on-demand babysitters. Do what the rest of the world does and get appropriate childcare. If the new job is so great, that shouldn't be a problem unless you're a cheapskate. Let your parents enjoy their retirement and stop forcing your responsibilities on them because you feel entitled. I bet the grandparents are thrilled to have their Saturday nights back. Well, you may want to retract that because much of the world live in multi-generational homes where the grandparents are actually expected to provide childcare while the parents are off earning money, sometimes not even in the same province for months at a time. It's mostly an American thing to hire babysitters. OP is not the idiot here.